The silent cargo, the pilot, the secret, and the twin rotes. There are secrets that travel in silence, hidden between clouds and turbulence, locked away for years inside a heart that never stopped racing when certain eyes meet. Captain Liam O'Connell returned to the skies after a long time grounded. On his very first flight, he ran into Tessa Donovan, the woman who marked his skin and his memory on a distant night in Lisbon. But something was different now, something in her eyes, and in the boy waiting in the arrival lounge, with a shy smile and features Liam recognized as his own. What was she hiding all these years, and what will he do when he discovers the truth? If this story touches you, leave your like so more people can hear it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any chapter, and tell us in the comments, where are you hearing this message from? Your support fuels this channel and keeps us bringing stories that touch the heart. Part 1. The Ghost of Lisbon. Liam adjusted his uniform in the hotel room mirror, feeling the weight of a decision he wasn't even sure was right. 5 years had passed since he last wore those wings, since he last touched the controls of a commercial jet. Life on the ground had been safe, predictable, but empty. He had accepted the offer to return almost as an act of desperation, disguised as courage. He needed to fly again. Needed to feel there was still something worthwhile inside him. Heathrow Airport was bustling that Monday morning. Liam crossed the concourse, duffel bag on his shoulder, observing the hustle of hurried passengers, families saying goodbye, executives with tired eyes. All of this had once been part of his routine. Now it felt like a strange world, like he was a visitor in his own history. When he reached the crew gate, Liam greeted the co-pilot and the rest of the team. Everyone seemed experienced, professional, cordial. He tried to hide his anxiety, but his hands were slightly sweaty. He was about to command an international flight after so long. The pressure was real. That's when he saw her, Tessa. She walked down the corridor with the impeccable posture of someone who had done that route 1,000 times. Her brown hair pulled back in a neat bun, the navy blue uniform fitted to her body, her almond eyes that seemed to carry ancient secrets. Liam felt the air leave his lungs for a second. His heart raced as if he had just landed on a runway that was too short. She saw him too. Her steps hesitated for a fraction of a second, just enough time for Liam to realize he wasn't the only one surprised. Tessa quickly looked away, like someone trying to erase a memory that insists on returning. But it was too late. Both knew this reunion wouldn't be easy. "Captain Liam," she said with a polite, almost cold smile. "A pleasure to have you aboard." Her voice still had that soft tone, but there was something different. A distance, an invisible barrier that hadn't existed that night in Lisbon, years ago, when they surrendered to each other without thinking of tomorrow. "The pleasure is mine," Liam replied, forcing a casual tone. "Been a while?" "It has," she agreed without elaborating. The silence between them was dense, laden with unspoken words. Liam wanted to ask so many things. Where has she been? Why did they never contact each other? Did she ever think of him? Even just once throughout those years. But nothing came out of his mouth. He simply nodded and headed toward the cockpit. The flight to Sao Paulo passed without major turbulence. Liam executed every procedure with precision, but his mind was elsewhere. He heard Tessa's voice over the internal speakers, giving instructions to the passengers with that professional calm that only those who love what they do can convey. Every word echoed inside him, rekindling memories he thought he had buried. Lisbon, a winter night, a bar near the Tagus River. They had met during a layover. He, a newly promoted pilot. She, a flight attendant a few years into the profession. The conversation flowed like wine. The laughter multiplied. And before they knew it, they were sharing not just secrets, But the dawn, the sheets, the sighs. The next morning, he had to leave. An unexpected transfer to the Middle East. They said goodbye, with the implicit promise that it had been just a moment. Beautiful, intense, but fleeting. Liam never asked for her contact. Tessa never offered. And life moved on. But now, just feet away, the past returned with force. Part 2. The uncanny reflection. When the plane landed in Sao Paulo, Liam disembarked with the crew and headed for the crew exit area. That's when he saw something that paralyzed him. A boy. He was sitting in one of the lounge chairs, fiddling with his phone with a backpack beside him. He looked about 12, maybe 13. Messy brown hair, fair skin, delicate features. But what caught Liam's attention were his eyes. Those eyes. They were identical to his own. Liam felt a tightness in his chest, as if someone had sucked the air out of his lungs. He watched the boy from afar, trying to understand what he was feeling. It couldn't be. It made no sense. But something primitive, instinctive, inside him screamed that this boy had something to do with him. Tessa appeared beside the boy, touching his shoulder affectionately. The boy looked up at her, smiling. Liam couldn't hear what they were saying, but the intimacy between them was clear. She picked up his backpack, and the two started walking toward the exit. Liam stood frozen, watching. That's when Tessa looked back, and their eyes met one more time. She knew he had seen the boy, and Liam realized in that instant that she was hiding something. Something big. Something that would change everything. He took a step forward, but Tessa had already turned her face and quickened her pace, disappearing with the boy into the airport crowd. Liam stood there, in the middle of the lounge, his heart racing and his mind in a whirl. Who was that boy? Why did Tessa look so scared? And why, of all the flights in the world, did fate put them together again? Just now, he didn't have answers, but a certainty began to form inside him, like a storm announcing itself on the horizon. This reunion wasn't a coincidence, and what came next would change all their lives forever. Part 3. The Nephew Lie. Liam couldn't sleep that night. The image of the boy wouldn't leave his head. Those hazel eyes, the jawline, the way he smiled. Everything about him seemed like a mirror, distorted by time. The feeling persisted, heavy as lead in his chest. He needed to know. 2 days later, Liam was scheduled for the same flight as Tessa. Coincidence or not, he accepted the opportunity without hesitation. He arrived at the airport earlier than necessary, observing every movement of the ground crew, every passenger who passed by. And then, there she was again, crossing the concourse with the same elegance as always. But this time, she wasn't alone. The boy walked beside her, dragging a backpack and holding an airplane model in his hands. He looked excited, talking non-stop, pointing at the planes visible through the glass windows. Tessa smiled, but there was tension in her shoulders, as if carrying that secret was an invisible weight she could never put down. Liam approached, trying to look casual. "Morning, Tessa," he said, keeping the tone educated, professional. She turned, and for a second, Liam saw fear in her eyes. A real, palpable fear. "Morning, Captain," she replied, her voice firm, but her fingers gripping her purse strap tighter than necessary. The boy looked up at Liam, curious, and up close the resemblance was even more evident. Liam felt the floor shift beneath his feet. "This is Finn," Tessa said quickly, before Liam could ask. "My nephew. He's flying with me today." Nephew. The word landed like a stone in Liam's stomach. He wanted to believe it, but something inside him screamed that it wasn't true. He forced a smile and held out his hand to the boy. "Nice to meet you, Finn. First time flying?" "Nice to meet you, sir," the boy replied, shaking Liam's hand firmly. "I've flown many times, My aunt is a flight attendant, so I kind of grew up on planes. There was genuine enthusiasm in his voice. Liam noticed the model Finn was holding, an Airbus A320, hand-painted with impressive detail. "You made that yourself?" Liam asked, pointing to the toy plane. "I did." Finn smiled, his eyes sparkling. "I love planes. I want to be a pilot when I grow up. Like you." The words hit Liam like a punch. He swallowed hard, trying to keep his composure. Tessa gently pulled Finn by the arm. "Come on, sweetie. We need to board." She practically dragged the boy away, but not before shooting a quick glance at Liam, a look that clearly said, "Don't ask. Not now, not here." During the flight, Liam tried to focus on the instruments, the tower communications, the routine procedures. But his mind was elsewhere. He thought of every detail. The boy's age, Tessa's reaction, the impossible physical resemblance. The math didn't add up, or rather, it added up perfectly, but in a way he didn't want to accept. When the plane reached cruising altitude, Liam left the co-pilot in command for a few minutes and stepped out of the cockpit. He needed water, air, anything to calm the turmoil inside him. That's when he saw Finn sitting in one of the front rows, drawing something in a notebook. Tessa was at the back of the aircraft, busy with passengers. Liam approached. "Can I see what you're drawing?" he asked, keeping his voice low. Finn proudly held up the notebook. It was a detailed drawing of a plane, seen from above. "You have talent," Liam said. Sincere. "Thanks. My aunt says I inherited it from someone, but she never says who." Liam's heart skipped a beat. "Does she talk much about your family?" Finn shrugged. "Not really. She says my mom died when I was little, and my dad, well, she never talks about him. I guess he didn't want to stay." The boy's voice carried a quiet sadness, the kind children learn to bear without fully understanding the weight. Liam felt something break inside him. He wanted to say something, anything, but the words wouldn't come. That's when Tessa appeared, her face pale. "Finn, go to the back, please. There's a snack waiting for you." The boy obeyed without question, grabbing his notebook and leaving. As soon as he was gone, Tessa turned to Liam, her voice low but firm. "I know what you're thinking, but you're wrong." "Am I?" Liam took a step forward, his eyes fixed on her. "Because every time I look at him, I see myself. And every time you look at me, I see fear. So tell me, Tessa, he's my son, isn't he?" The silence was deafening. Tessa closed her eyes for an instant, as if fighting something inside her. When she opened them again, there were contained tears there. "He's my nephew, Liam. My sister died in a car accident 6 years ago. I've raised him ever since. That's all you need to know." She turned her back and left, leaving Liam standing in the corridor with more questions than answers. But one thing he knew, she was lying, and he wouldn't stop until he found the truth. Part 4. The Confrontation at 30,000 feet. Liam spent the next few days in a daze. Every flight seemed mechanical, his mind elsewhere. He scoured his memory for details of that Lisbon night. The math checked out perfectly. Finn's age matched the time after their encounter. Tessa wasn't just lying to him. She was lying to herself, or she simply never wanted him to know. The flight back to London was scheduled for a Thursday. Liam knew Tessa would be on the crew. This time, he wouldn't let it pass. He needed answers, not out of pride or anger, but because there was a boy involved. A boy with his eyes, his smile, his dreams, who deserved to know who his father was. 2 hours into cruising altitude, Liam left the cockpit. Tessa was serving drinks. When she saw him, her body stiffened slightly, but she continued smiling professionally. Liam waited. When she finished, he followed her to the service area. "We need to talk," he said, keeping his voice low but firm. "Not now, Liam. I'm working." "Then when?" he insisted. "Because every time I try to talk to you, you run. And I won't give up." Tessa closed her eyes, breathing deeply as if gathering strength for a battle she didn't want to fight. "What do you want me to say?" she whispered, her voice cracking at the edges. "That you're right? That I lied? That every time I look at you, I see the man who left me alone on a December morning without looking back?" The accusation cut deep. Liam took a step forward. "I didn't know, Tessa. If I had known—" "But you didn't ask," she interrupted him, her eyes finally meeting his, filled with contained pain and anger. "You left without a phone number, without an address, without anything. And I was left there, 2 months later, staring at a positive pregnancy test, not knowing where you were, not knowing if you would even care." Liam felt the floor disappear beneath his feet. "Then, he's my son?" It wasn't a question. It was a realization. Tessa bit her lip, fighting back tears. She didn't answer, but the truth was etched on her face. "Why didn't you look for me?" Liam asked, his voice hoarse. "I had a right to know." "A right?" She laughed, a joyless sound. "You had the right to move on, Liam, to fly wherever you wanted, to be free. I wasn't going to tie you down with a responsibility you never asked for. And that wasn't your decision to make alone." The silence was heavy. Tessa wiped her eyes and adjusted her uniform. "I need to get back to work. And so do you." She walked past him, but Liam gently held her arm. "I'm not leaving this time, Tessa. Not without truly knowing my son." She looked at him for a long moment, and for the first time, Liam saw something beyond fear in her eyes. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was just exhaustion from carrying that secret alone for so long. "He doesn't know," she whispered. "Finn doesn't know you're his father, and I don't know if I'm ready to destroy the life I built to protect him." Before Liam could reply, she pulled free and disappeared down the corridor. Liam stood there, suspended between heaven and earth, understanding that the truth, however painful, was about to emerge, whether she wanted it to or not. Part 5. The Airport Ambush. Liam gave Tessa a few days. Then, he used his airline contacts to find her address in London. On a Saturday morning, he went to a bakery near her apartment. That's when he saw them, Tessa and Finn, walking down the sidewalk, laughing. Finn carried a soccer ball under his arm. Tessa looked lighter, more human, away from her uniform. Liam paid his bill and left the bakery. He sent Tessa a direct message. "I need to speak with you, not as pilot and flight attendant, as two people who need to resolve something important. Please, give me a chance." Her reply took almost 3 hours. "Tomorrow, 3 p.m., coffee near the Tower Bridge. Alone." The next day, Tessa arrived at the cafe on time. Her eyes were red. "I came because you won't give up, will you?" she said, her voice tired. "And because I can't keep pretending you don't exist. I don't want to be a problem in your life, Tessa. I just want the truth. The truth is I spent 12 years protecting my son from a rejection I was sure would come," she confessed. "I created a beautiful story for him, so he wouldn't grow up missing a father who was never there. And it worked, Liam. He's happy. He has a good life. He doesn't need a last-minute father showing up to mess everything up. He deserves to know who I am. This wasn't your decision to make alone. It was easier to turn you into a simple villain than to risk being rejected again," she said, her pain evident. "You judged me, condemned me. You decided for me without giving me the chance to choose. I know I failed, Tessa, but I didn't know. Now that I know, I can't just pretend none of this matters. He is my son, and I want to be the father he deserves," Tessa cried, but then composed herself. "I need time. I need to think about how to tell him, if I tell him at all. But in the meantime, you must promise me, stay away from Finn. Don't try to talk to him unless I'm present." Part 6. Fatherhood at the Viewpoint. Liam respected Tessa's request, but fate intervened again. On a return layover in Santiago, Chile, Liam found Finn sitting alone at the hotel breakfast, drawing in his notebook. Tessa was on the phone across the room. "You're the pilot from the flight, right?" Finn asked, excited. "Can I sit with you?" Liam looked around for Tessa. When she saw Finn with Liam, her face went white, and she rushed over. But it was too late. "You know, I wanted to ask you something," Finn said to Liam. "How did you decide to become a pilot? Like, did you always know you wanted to fly?" "Yes," Liam answered sincerely. "Since I was little, I always knew." "Me too," Finn smiled. "My aunt says I'm obsessed with planes." "It's not obsession," Liam gently corrected. "It's passion, and there's nothing wrong with that." Tessa finally reached the table. "Finn, sweetie, let's go eat at our table." But Finn made a fatal slip. "But Mom, I want to talk to Captain Liam. He's so cool." The word Mom echoed in the air. Tessa's face flushed. Finn realized his mistake immediately. "Sorry, Aunt. I meant Aunt, but it was too late." Liam knew. The lie had finally broken. Later that day, Liam found Finn at the airport's viewing deck. He stood beside him, watching the planes. "Why did you never want to meet me?" Finn asked, his voice cracking. "Because I didn't know you existed," Liam said, his voice raw. "Your mother never told me. And when I found out a few weeks ago, my world turned upside down. She said you left, that you didn't want to stay. I left, yes, but not because I didn't want to stay. It was because I didn't know she was pregnant. If I had known, Finn, I swear I would have come back. I would have stayed. You deserved a father, and I deserve to know my son." Finn looked down, kicking an imaginary pebble. "So you really didn't know? I want to know you now. I want to be there for your games, your exams, your bad days. I can't erase the past, but I can try to build a future if you let me." "I always wanted to meet my dad," Finn said quietly. "And now that he's here, I don't know if I can believe he'll stay." Liam knelt down. "I don't know how to be a father, Finn. I'll make mistakes, but I promise one thing. I will be here, always. If you decide you don't want to know me, I'll respect it. But until then, I will fight for you, because that's what fathers do." "Can you teach me how to fly?" Finn asked shyly. "It would be an honor." And there, at the airport viewpoint, father and son began to write a story that should have started 12 years earlier. Part 7. The Double Route and Clara's Arrival. Liam adjusted his life around Finn. He took fixed routes, London-Sao Paulo, twice a week. Stability he never had before. He spent weekends teaching Finn aerodynamics. Tessa, still cautious, slowly let the relationship grow. One Friday, after Finn's presentation on aviation at school, where he proudly declared that his father was a pilot, the three went to a diner. "He set us up?" Tessa admitted, seeing Finn run off. "He doesn't have a science project." "He's trying to get us together," Liam smiled. "He's amazing, Tessa, and I love him." "I know," she confessed. "I love him too, and I'm starting to trust you. You didn't run. You chose to stay." The turning point. Liam officially accepted a fixed route, committing to their stability. He was choosing to stay, and Tessa was choosing to believe. Then came the moment of the fateful double route. As Liam, Tessa, and Finn walked through the airport for a family flight, a woman with cold blue-gray eyes appeared at the gate. "Captain Liam, a pleasure to meet you on your new route." It was Clara Schmidt, the aeronautical engineer from his past Middle East assignment. She handed him a folded photo. Michaela, a girl Finn's age, with his exact features. "My daughter, Michaela, 12 years old, 9 months after our layover in Dubai," Clara stated coldly. "You're a master at leaving trails, Captain. The difference is, I only decided to inform you when I saw you trying to be the present father to another son." Tessa's voice was a whisper of cold fury. "Another son of another layover? You are not a villain, Liam. You are just transitory." Liam was destroyed. His past, his instability, had materialized into a second family. "I will resolve this," Liam vowed to Tessa, holding the photo of Lucas and Michaela. I will not abandon Michaela. I will face this unscheduled layover. But I need you to let me fight for all of us. Give me 1 week to land this second turbulence. Tessa nodded, cold, but not broken. Don't be late, Captain, because if you delay, our boarding gate will be closed. Liam stood alone, a father of 2 boys by 2 strong women, his heart torn between the family he had just found and the duty he had just discovered. Part 8. The Unplanned Destination. Liam knew the clock was ticking. He had 1 week. His first action was to call Clara. He met her at a neutral corporate office. He didn't deny Michaela. He showed her Finn's picture and the pain in his own life. I didn't know about either of them, but I will not be the absent father again. I will provide for Michaela, and I will be present. Clara, however, was not seeking money. She was seeking retribution and balance. You need to show your son, Finn, that you are the man of your word, not the pilot who disappears. If you want a role in Michaela's life, you will first prove that you have conquered your transit nature. She demanded he dedicate 1 Saturday a month exclusively to Michaela, supervised, and that he be completely honest with Tessa about his commitment. Liam faced Tessa later that week. He presented the plan. The financial commitment to Michaela, the 1 supervised Saturday a month, and his promise that his primary route, his home, was with her and Finn. Tessa listened, her face unreadable. You are asking me to share your presence, Liam, after I waited 12 years for it. I am asking you to trust that I am no longer the man who runs. I am the man who faces his consequences. Finn and you are my roots. Michaela is my responsibility, but you are my destination. She looked at him, then at the photo of the 2 children. She saw the fear in his eyes, but also the resolute love. I can't tell you I forgive you, Tessa finally said, her voice soft. But I can tell you I believe that you won't lie again. I will not close the door, Liam, but you must open the right one. The next morning, Liam packed his suitcase. He was flying his fixed route to Sao Paulo, where he would meet Finn and Tessa. That night, he would make his first call to Clara to arrange his visit with Michaela. He was flying with an unresolved heart, a double duty, and an uncertain future. Liam boarded his plane. He had his fixed route, but now his life had a dual destination, a challenge that would test the veriment of his promise of always being there. The final question: will Liam O'Connell be able to balance the duty of his past with the promise of his future? Or is the nature of a transitory man too deeply ingrained to be overcome? Subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments, what do you think the future holds for Liam and Tessa? Tuyệt vời. Tôi rất vui vì bạn thích cái kết mở đầy kịch tính đó và muốn biết điều gì xảy ra tiếp theo. Với một cái kết mở như vậy, chúng ta sẽ cần một chương mới để bắt đầu khám phá xem liệu Liam có thể thực hiện lời hứa của mình hay không. Tôi sẽ tiếp tục viết bằng tiếng Anh, tập trung vào những thử thách của việc cân bằng giữa 2 gia đình và sự xuất hiện của một người thứ ba không mong muốn. Người đã gửi thư nặc danh cho Thiago Liam trước đó, làm tăng thêm sự phức tạp. Đây là phần tiếp theo, chi tiết, không rút ngắn và lôi cuốn. Chapter 28. The Dangerous Balance. Welcome back, followers of the skies. Liam has accepted the ultimate challenge, balancing the commitment to Tessa and Finn with the responsibility for Michaela and Clara. His presente sempre promise is now being tested across 2 families and 2 emotional continents. Smash that like button if you believe Liam can succeed. Subscribe now and tell us, how long do you think Liam can keep the peace? Part 1. Landing the emotional cargo. Liam landed in Sao Paulo, feeling the weight of the last week on his shoulders. He had successfully managed his first emotional turbulence with Clara, securing a clear, scheduled route for being Michaela's father, 1 supervised Saturday a month. He felt a fragile victory. Tessa was waiting for him at the crew gate. She was wearing casual clothes, her expression reserved, but not hostile. "Welcome back, Captain," she said, her voice flat. "Tessa," Liam replied, closing the distance between them. He didn't try to hug her in the crowded airport. He simply took her hand. "It's all set with Clara. I'm providing financial support, and I have a clear schedule for Michaela. One supervised Saturday a month in London. It's structured. It's manageable. It won't interfere with our weekends with Finn." Tessa pulled her hand away. "Manageable for your schedule, Liam. But how is it manageable for my heart? You're asking me to live with the constant knowledge that you have a second life, a life you created while you were self-sabotaging, that mirrors ours. Every time you leave for London, I'll be counting the hours you spend with her. I'm asking you to trust that my heart and my home are here," Liam insisted. "I'm facing my past for Finn's sake, so he doesn't grow up with a father who is a liar. I have chosen stability here. You and Finn are the destination. The rest is just unforeseen maintenance." Tessa let out a tired sigh. "Unforeseen maintenance. Fine, let's see how long the repairs last." Their relationship entered a new phase, the trial of presence. Tessa allowed Liam to move out of the spare room and into hers, a significant step. But their intimacy was defined by caution. Every kiss was a question. Every shared quiet moment felt like an examination. Liam knew that true forgiveness wouldn't come from dramatic gestures, but from consistency. Showing up for Finn's school play, helping Tessa with groceries, and being there for the mundane moments of life. Part 2. The Uninvited Observer. Meanwhile, in London, Liam met Clara and Michaela for the first time as a father. Michaela, 12 years old, was a miniature version of her mother, sharp, intelligent, and carrying a quiet resentment. She wasn't happy to meet the absent pilot dad who suddenly appeared. Their first supervised Saturday was stiff, awkward, and polite. Michaela only spoke when necessary, her eyes constantly assessing him. Clara maintained a cold, professional distance, ensuring Liam adhered strictly to the schedule. However, during their third meeting, something shifted. Michaela, an avid builder of model airplanes like Finn, was struggling with a complex wing design. Liam, an expert, gently took over, showing her a precise technique he had learned during his early training. Michaela's defenses briefly dropped. "That's really cool, Dad," she mumbled, catching herself before she could correct the title. Liam smiled, a genuine, relieved smile. "We'll build a flight simulator together, okay? You and me." The ice was cracking. Liam was beginning to feel a genuine connection with his daughter, and his heart, already full with Finn, expanded to include Michaela. But the new arrangement didn't go unnoticed. Liam started getting anonymous messages on his old airline email, the one used for the first tip-off. "The pilot is making a nest for himself in London now. How long until the Brazilian family becomes the unforeseen maintenance? You can't cheat destiny, Liam. You will always be a passenger." Liam showed the messages to Tessa. "Someone knows everything, Tessa. The person who sent the first tip-off is still watching. They're trying to break us." Tessa's face hardened. "It's a colleague, someone who was close to me, someone who knew about your past and knew about Lucas. They want to see you fail because they think you don't deserve this." Who do you think is sending these messages? A jealous colleague of Tessa's, or someone from Liam's past who knows both Clara and Tessa? Join the conversation in the comments. Part 3. The jealousy and the threat. Tessa and Liam began to suspect Marcus, a fellow flight attendant who had worked closely with Tessa and had always harbored feelings for her. Marcus had been strangely distant since Liam's return, and knew intimate details of Tessa's life, including the fabricated nephew story. The tension escalated one evening when Liam and Tessa were at a crew social event. Marcus approached their table, offering a toast. To Captain O'Connell, Marcus raised his glass, his eyes dark with resentment. May he finally find a city, or a continent, where he decides to put down roots. Liam put down his own glass. "Marcus, we need to talk privately." Marcus smirked. "About the challenges of a long-distance relationship? Or about the ethics of being a pilot with 2 layovers he calls home?" The public jab confirmed Liam's suspicions. Marcus knew about Michaela. "You know, Tessa," Marcus continued, ignoring Liam. "I always admired your strength. You raised Finn beautifully. You didn't need a man who considers fatherhood a part-time hobby. Don't let him break you again." Tessa stood up, her hand shaking. "That's enough, Marcus. Go!" "Fine," Marcus hissed, his voice dropping low. "But tell him that I know people in London, people who are watching. And the truth always comes out, Liam, especially when there are 2 of them." Marcus walked away, leaving behind a threat that was clear. He would use Michaela and the secret to destroy Liam's fragile stability with Tessa and Finn. Liam looked at Tessa. He knows, and he will use it. Tessa took a deep breath. "Then we don't give him the chance. We beat him to the punch, Liam. We control the narrative." Part 4. The ultimate truth and the shared fear. Tessa's decision was immediate and profound. They needed to tell Finn the complete truth about Michaela. "He trusts you, Liam. If he hears about Michaela from an anonymous source or from Marcus at the airport, that trust is shattered forever," Tessa stated. "We tell him together. We show him that we are a united front, facing a complicated reality." That night, Liam and Tessa sat Finn down. Finn, now 13, listened with surprising maturity as Liam explained the unexpected parallel life he discovered in London. He didn't hide the embarrassment, the confusion, or the pain. "And she is my half-sister?" Finn asked. His eyes wide. "Yes, Finn," Tessa confirmed. "Your father and Clara loved each other a long time ago. They created 2 amazing people, you and Michaela, and now we are trying to do the right thing." Finn was silent for a long time. Then he asked the question that revealed his heart. "Does Michaela like planes too?" "She loves them." Liam smiled, relieved. "She's building a huge flight simulator model right now." Finn's worry wasn't about the betrayal of the past, but the future of their connection. "When can I meet her?" The conversation was difficult, emotional, but it cemented a new level of trust between Liam and Tessa. They were partners in consequence, not just love. What advice would you give Liam and Tessa for introducing the 2 half-siblings? Tell us your creative ideas in the comments. Part 5. The Power of Honesty and the Confrontation. Liam and Tessa decided to confront Marcus directly before their next flight. They cornered him in the crew briefing room. "We know you're sending the messages, Marcus," Tessa said, her voice steady. "And we know you want to see Liam fail." "He's a cheat, Tessa," Marcus spat. "He's making a mockery of your dedication. He doesn't deserve you." "That's not your decision to make," Liam cut in, handing Marcus a piece of paper. It was an official company document. "This is a transfer request. I'm transferring you off the London route. You will be flying the East Asian route for the next 12 months. Any further attempt to contact me, Tessa, or my family will result in immediate termination." Liam had pulled rank and leveraged his chief status in the air group. Marcus paled, defeated. He realized he had underestimated Liam's commitment to protecting his new life. "You win this round, O'Connell," Marcus muttered. "But a man like you always crashes eventually. It's in your nature." "My nature changed," Liam said firmly, "and you won't be around to see it." Part 6. The Unconventional Family Flight. The external threat was neutralized, but the internal one remained. Integration. 6 weeks later, Liam arranged an unconventional meeting. He flew a non-commercial training route from London to Sao Paulo. On board, Liam, captain, Tessa, supervisor, and both Finn and Michaela, guests. The atmosphere was initially stiff. Finn was shy. Michaela was guarded. It was the shared passion for flight that broke the ice. Liam let them sit in the jump seats for the departure. As the plane soared over the clouds, Finn and Michaela, both aspiring pilots, began discussing the lift and drag forces on the wing. They argued politely over a technical detail, then dissolved into laughter when Liam pulled out a pilot joke. Tessa and Liam stood in the cockpit doorway, watching them. "They're going to be okay, aren't they?" Tessa whispered. "They are already family." Liam smiled, putting his arm around her. "They share the same dream, the same DNA, and they have the same complicated, loving mothers." Later, sitting together in the cabin, Liam shared the final truth. He told them about the first night in Lisbon, his fear of commitment, and his realization that he had chased freedom when he should have chased belonging. "I made a mistake, kids, a huge one, and my consequence is that I have to work harder than any other father to be the man you deserve," Liam said, looking at both Finn and Michaela. "But I promise you both one thing. You two are the fixed points on my map now. I'll never be transitory again." Michaela, for the first time, softened completely. "It's okay, Dad. You're here now." The legacy. Liam O'Connell proved that the nature of a man is not fixed. It is a route that can be corrected mid-flight. He built an unconventional family, a dual-route family, united not by geography, but by absolute honesty, and a shared commitment to a love that was tested by its greatest challenges. Thank you for flying with us on this journey of redemption and love. Final call to action. Subscribe to the channel to never miss another story of transformed lives. Like this video if you believe that honesty is the only way to build lasting trust. Comment below. What should Liam and Tessa name their new, unconventional family arrangement? But his actions was healing her resentment. Then, disaster struck. Not in their personal lives, but in Liam's professional one. Liam, as captain, was commanding a transatlantic flight when the aircraft encountered an unpredictable, severe turbulence zone over the mid-Atlantic. While navigating the crisis, a mechanical sensor failed. Liam and his co-pilot executed the emergency protocol perfectly, landing the massive jet safely in Dublin with no passenger injuries. However, a routine post-incident review by the airline's safety board revealed a critical error. Due to the simultaneous sensor failure and the extreme stress of the unexpected turbulence, Liam had deviated slightly from a mandatory checklist procedure during the initial system reboot. A tiny technical omission, but a significant violation of strict protocol. The safety board initiated a root cause and pilot review, grounding Liam indefinitely. The news hit Liam like a physical blow. Grounding meant not flying. Not flying meant no income. But more devastatingly, it meant instability. It threatened the very foundation of his promise to Tessa and Michaela: consistency and presence. Liam sat in his apartment in Sao Paulo, the phone call ending with the cold voice of the chief safety officer echoing in his ear. He wasn't just a pilot. His identity, his livelihood, and his recent redemption were tied to those wings. Tessa found him there, pale, the termination letter spread on the table. "They grounded me, Tessa," Liam said, his voice flat. "For the duration of the investigation. It could be weeks. It could be months. It jeopardizes everything." Tessa immediately shed her caution. She didn't panic about the money. She panicked about the psychological impact on Liam. "It was severe turbulence, Liam. You landed a bird safely. That's what matters." "The checklist matters more, Tessa. The mandate matters more. They see a procedural failure, not a heroic landing." This grounding was a unique threat. It wasn't about another woman or an old secret. It was a crisis of self-worth and stability. Tessa knew if Liam lost his wings, he might regress to the self-destructive patterns of his past. What do you think is more dangerous for Liam? The loss of income, or the loss of the professional identity that defined his commitment to his family? Comment below. Part 2. The strength of the dual route. Tessa immediately took control. She used her deep connections within the airline's operational side to gather intelligence about the review board. This is not about the omission, Liam. This is about politics. They want to prove they are tough on safety after a recent minor incident in the Asian sector. You're their high-profile example, Tessa explained. She initiated a strategic defense. We're going to fight this. You and Clara, you need the best legal defense, and you need data that proves your split-second decision was justifiable under extreme duress. Liam was taken aback. Clara? Why Clara? Because she's an aeronautical engineer, Liam. She understands sensor failure and aerodynamic stress better than any lawyer. And frankly, this is the perfect test of her commitment to our children's father, Tessa stated, her voice firm. Liam swallowed his pride and called Clara in London. He explained the situation, the technical details, the injustice. Clara listened, her professional curiosity instantly overriding her personal resentment. Send me the data logs and the cockpit voice recording. I'll run a simulation of the stress factors, she commanded. For the next 2 weeks, the dual route family worked as an intense, unified defense team. Tessa handled the operational and political side, gathering crew testimonials and appealing to the pilots' union. Clara ran complex technical analyses from London, preparing irrefutable evidence that the sensor failure, combined with the G-forces, made the checklist procedure technically impossible in that exact micro-moment. Liam focused on the procedural defense and, crucially, maintained his presence with both Finn and Michaela. During Finn's soccer match, Liam stood on the sidelines, reviewing technical specs while simultaneously cheering. During Michaela's model building day, he helped her run stress tests on her wings, applying real-world physics to a toy. He proved that even without his pilot identity, he was still the present sempre father. Part 3. The Unmasking of the Observer. The defense team was strong, but the anonymous messages persisted, now more vicious, directly attacking Liam's competence and even implying he was an emotional liability in the cockpit. The pilot who can't commit to a family shouldn't be entrusted with 300 lives. Liability is in his heart, not his hands. Tessa, using her old operational access, traced the email metadata. It didn't lead to Marcus. It led to a small, private server owned by Clara's former colleague, a highly competitive engineer named David in London. David was an ex-romantic rival of Liam's, someone who had always secretly resented Clara's brief but intense relationship with the dashing pilot. He had sent the original tip-off, not out of care for Tessa, but out of malice toward Liam and a desire to win Clara back. Tessa flew to London to confront him with Clara. You sent the original tip about Michaela, and now you're trying to ground Liam indefinitely, Tessa accused, presenting the digital evidence. David scoffed. He is a liability. He destroyed Clara once, and you're enabling him to do it again. I just wanted to expose the truth. Clara stepped forward, her voice icy. The only thing you exposed, David, is your own desperation. Liam's integrity is being tested by the airline, not by a technical omission. The fact that you are willing to compromise the safety investigation to fulfill your personal resentment shows that you are the real liability. Clara and Tessa, 2 mothers, 2 rivals, stood united, defending the father of their children. The shared fear of instability and the external attack forged an unbreakable bond between them. David, defeated, backed down, and agreed to delete all data. What do you think was the most important thing Tessa learned about Clara during this fight? Her intellect or her commitment to ethical action? Comment below. Part 4. The Verdict and the New Vow. Meaningful ending. The day of the safety board hearing arrived. Liam presented his procedural defense, while Clara, via a live video link from London, presented her meticulous technical analysis. Tessa sat beside Liam, her hand visibly holding his under the table. The board, faced with irrefutable technical data, ruled that while the procedural omission was a violation, the extreme operating conditions and the successful landing were mitigating factors. Verdict. Liam was cleared of negligence, but given a 1-month suspension without pay for the procedural violation, followed by a mandatory recertification. It was a harsh punishment, but his wings were saved. His stability was restored. Liam returned to the operational center, exhausted, but exhilarated. He found Tessa waiting. "You saved me, Tessa," he whispered. "You and Clara. You saved my career." "We saved our foundation, Liam," Tessa corrected, pulling him into a fierce hug. "We are a team, and we know exactly what we are fighting for now." Liam took her hand, the old promise ring still on her finger. The promise of present sempre was a vow of time. Now I know it's a vow of shared responsibility. The next day, Liam called Clara. "I'm flying out to London tomorrow. I owe you a massive thank you and a new airplane model for Michaela." Clara chuckled on the phone. "Bring the data logs, Captain, and I want to review your recertification study guide. The dual route is now permanent, and we all have to uphold the standards." Liam smiled. He had gone from a man terrified of commitment to one anchored by 2 powerful women and 2 bright children. His life was complicated, but for the first time, it was genuinely whole. He had lost his fear of being transitory because he had built a network of fierce, intelligent love that would never let him crash. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of redemption and love. Chapter 20 twice. The Unbreakable Covenant. Welcome back for the epilogue of this extraordinary journey. Liam has his wings back, but the true flight now is the one between London and Sao Paulo, the route of 2 mothers and their shared love for one captain. Hit like if you believe Tessa and Clara can build a friendship. Subscribe now and tell us, what is the most important trait in a successful, unconventional family? Part 1. The Alliance of the Mothers. The 1-month suspension was difficult financially, but it became the most transformative month emotionally. Liam, grounded, dedicated his time entirely to his family. The biggest surprise, however, was the evolution of the relationship between Tessa, Sao Paulo, and Clara, London. The shared battle to save Liam's career had forced them beyond their initial rivalry. They went from professional rivals and suspicious co-parents to guarded allies. They began sharing notes, not just on Liam's recertification studies, but on Finn's passion for physics and Michaela's tendency to procrastinate on her math homework. One evening, Tessa found herself on a video call with Clara, discussing an issue regarding Michaela's school registration. The conversation flowed easily, marked by mutual respect for each other's fierce intelligence. "He's lucky to have 2 women fighting this hard for his stability," Tessa commented, a hint of wry humor in her voice. Clara, rarely one for compliments, replied, "We're not fighting for him, Tessa. We're fighting for our children's peace and for the integrity of their father's name. That's a strong motivation." This mutual understanding that their partnership was centered on protecting Finn and Michaela was the key. They realized that their combined effort created a shield around the children that was far stronger than any individual protection. The shared holiday. Liam, grateful for their sacrifice, proposed a radical idea for the 2 weeks of Christmas vacation, a neutral territory family trip to New York City. Tessa was hesitant. Clara was professionally cold. But for the sake of the children, who had become close friends through video calls, they agreed. The trip was a hilarious, awkward success. The children were delighted. Liam was perpetually nervous, running interference. But the breakthrough came when Tessa, seeing Clara meticulously organize their itinerary, teased her about her engineering precision. And Clara, seeing Tessa's effortless warmth with Michaela, admitted she envied Tessa's easy emotional connection. By the time they flew home, the rivalry had been replaced by a functional, respectful coexistence. They had built the true dual route, one anchored in 2 separate but collaborating ports. Part 2. The new family standard. Liam aced his recertification and returned to the skies, his commitment deeper than ever. He had conquered his greatest fear, that his professional life would require him to abandon his personal life. He learned that his true strength lay not in flying solo, but in the ground support of his unconventional family. A year later, on Finn's 14th birthday, Liam stood with Tessa, Clara, Finn, and Michaela around the cake. It wasn't a blended family in the traditional sense. It was a conscious, collaborative family. As they watched Finn and Michaela laugh together, Liam realized the ultimate meaning of his journey. He learned that true freedom wasn't the ability to fly away, but the courage to be anchored. He realized that true love wasn't defined by romantic exclusivity, but by the unwavering commitment to shared responsibility and the well-being of the children. The scandal of the 2 secret children had been transformed into the unique legacy of the O'Connell-Donovan-Schmidt family. They were proof that sometimes the most challenging life circumstances create the strongest, most resilient, and most ethical bonds. Thank you for flying with us on this incredible, final leg of the journey. Final call to action. Subscribe to the channel for more stories of unconventional families. Like this video if you believe in the power of conscious co-parenting. Comment below. If Finn and Michaela were to write a book about their family, what should the title be?